Coming up in this episode of iCantCU, I've got 2 stories on how AI made my life a lot easier. Stick with me.
From Studio B in Swarthmore, this is the iCantCU podcast with David. It's like blind people for dummies.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 264 of iCantCU. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. I'm really glad you're here for this episode, and welcome inside Studio B. Do you like that pillow over there on my left? You're right. I really do appreciate you. And I do have, like I said, 2 stories on how AI was really helpful. I'm going to start off with the one that was more of an experiment than anything else. And I got a text from Simon on Friday, the day before our Keystone Chapter meeting, and he asked me if I would record the Keystone Chapter meeting the next day. And I said, sure. I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that because when he first asked me, I was thinking he wants me to record it on Zoom. But that wasn't what he was speaking about. He meant to record it on my H1N, not the H1N Essential that is very, very user-friendly to blind folks, but the old H1 where I wonder if I've actually hit the record button. So maybe one day I'm going to upgrade to get the accessible H1N Essential, or maybe the H4N Essential, or even the H6N. We'll see. I'll put links in the description and show notes so you can see what the difference is with those 3 devices. But they're very similar to the previous devices. It's just that they are accessible right out of the box, which is very, very cool. You don't have to fumble to turn something on or get sighted assistance. Right out of the box, they are good to go. So when I went to the meeting on Saturday morning, I set the device up on the middle of the table in front of where Harriet's computer is. Harriet logs into Zoom, so she speaks right into her computer, and then we have one of those Bluetooth type of, actually I don't even know if it's Bluetooth, I think it's corded speakers that can then make anybody that's talking via Zoom audible for the folks in the meeting room at the Penn Museum. So she sets that up, I hit record, and I think it's going good and everything else, and we have the meeting and everything goes on, and I did shoot a little bit of B-roll for there. So if you're watching this on YouTube at youtube.com/@iCantCU, that's the @ sign and iCantCU, you'll notice the room and how everything is set up. Usually that TV is not on. I don't know why it was on that day. I guess the people who set the room up thought a bunch of blind people needed to put something on display on the TV. We did not. When I grabbed the recorder after the meeting was over, it wasn't recording. So I was a little concerned. I thought, uh-oh, how much did I miss? And I didn't know when or how it got shut off. And so when I came home, I plugged it into my computer, and I saw that there were 2 files. One that I had mishit at the very beginning when I started it and didn't know if it was recording, then hit it again to stop it, and then hit it again to restart it. So one file was very small. I want to say around 48 megabytes. The other one was huge. I don't remember if it was 1.5 or 2 gigs. Transferred it onto my computer. I'm thinking, man, do I want to listen to this? I just lived it a couple of hours earlier. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take it into Descript, and I'm going to transcribe it. That takes a few minutes. And then once I transcribed it, I took it over to ChatGPT, and I asked some of the prompts I used. You are the secretary of the Keystone Chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. I need you to create minutes from today's meeting. Here is an example of last month's minutes. And I uploaded to ChatGPT the April minutes that Simon had done. And then after it did that, it said something. I don't remember what it was. It's not important. I said, here are the minutes. Please use the same formatting. Please touch on all the different aspects of the meeting and give me the minutes. A couple minutes go by. Boom, it's done. It wasn't perfect, but it cut out me listening to the whole meeting again, or trying to figure out where I was going to put that huge file for Simon to get to and then do the minutes. So I corrected some of the things, and some of the things that were wrong were weird. It had people who were at the April meeting, but not at the May meeting. It had them as attending the May meeting. It had a couple of other issues that happened in the April meeting, but it then put them down for the May meeting. Meaning, we talked about the upcoming state convention coming up in November, but what we said at the May meeting was different than at the April meeting. So it got a couple of things wrong. So what I then did, when it didn't have things right, I either corrected it or I said, can you give me just the state update, the state convention update? And it did in some instances. And others, like I said, I did it on my own. So within about, I don't know, half an hour to 45 minutes, I had the notes done. I had the meeting minutes done. I then sent them to Harriet, and I sent them to everybody else, and I explained to them exactly what I just explained to you. Here's how I did it, and make sure you let me know if there are any issues. Nobody said there were any issues. Kat thought that there was a discrepancy with one of the numbers on some money. When the national convention comes around, that is coming in July in Orlando, each of the affiliates, the NFB of Pennsylvania is one of the 52 affiliates. You can kind of figure out, except for, what do you mean? There's only 50 states. The District of Columbia has an affiliate and Puerto Rico has an affiliate. So there are 52 NFB affiliates around the U.S. And then within those affiliates, there are chapters and divisions. The Keystone Chapter is a chapter in the NFB of PA. So every chapter gives money to the affiliate. In this case, Keystone gives money to the NFB of Pennsylvania. Then NFB of Pennsylvania gets together and pools all that money from the different divisions and chapters. The Pennsylvania Association of Blind Merchants is another division, or one of the divisions, and they gave money as well. So they pool all of that money, and then at National Convention, the money is given by the NFB of PA to the NFB. And it's always kind of fun to hear how much each affiliate is giving. Pennsylvania usually falls in the middle, doesn't give the most, doesn't give the least. But it's always interesting. And if you're wondering, Keystone gave $400 and the Blind Merchants gave $400. We do $400, at least in the Merchants we did, because there are 4 funds that the money goes to. So we give an even amount like that and just spread it across 4 accounts. Keystone did $400, again, spread equally, but there was discussion. At one point, somebody had brought a motion to maybe do $75 for each of the funds, or a total of $300. But we didn't do that. We did the $400, and that was that. So the fact that it was able to do all that so quickly and so easily. Oh, and before I sent it to anyone, I did take it into Grammarly, because my grammar is not great, and ChatGPT's might be better, but it's just always better. It's like getting another set of eyes to take a look. And in this case, not really eyes in either case. So I sent it off, and everything was good to go. So very, very helpful. I know there's a lot of folks that bash AI, and when they take over, they're coming for you first. But as a tool, if you know the right prompts to put in, it just makes things a whole lot easier. I'm not saying it's going to write you a book, it's going to write anything. If you do the right prompts and give it the right information, maybe you can get something decent. You're still going to have to edit it, there's no doubt. But it was so helpful in that, and I was glad I did it, because I don't know that I'll ever get a chance to do it again unless Simon misses a meeting or whatnot. But it was great to get that out very quickly, and I was glad that I could help Simon out with that. And I took something off his plate while also helping my curiosity get fed. And that was something that I was really looking forward to. I didn't want to do it just out of, just in spite of everything else. I wanted to do it for a reason, not just an experiment without any benefits at the end, other than knowing. Now, if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, I used to start the show off by promoting either something the NFB of PA is doing, something Keystone Chapter is doing, or ask you when you need to purchase anything at Amazon.com to please use my affiliate link. And after going to Grow with Video Live a few weeks ago in Vegas, that wasn't the right thing to lead off with. At least on video, it's not. So I've changed it, as you've noticed. I said what was coming up in this episode, and then I got into it. Now I'm going to tell you about iCantCU.com/Amazon. Whenever you need to make a purchase at Amazon.com, please use my affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything more, and I may earn a small commission from your qualifying purchase. Again, iCantCU.com/Amazon. I know that down in the show notes /description, there are some links to Amazon, and that is also helpful if you're interested in any of those items, or you just want to get to Amazon quickly and just want to tap one of those things instead of having to type something in. Any way you do it, when you go to Amazon, either by one of the links or by going to iCantCU.com/Amazon, I will earn a small commission if you buy anything. It doesn't have to be the thing that you click the link on below, because I know I've got my podcast gear and I have something else to add, which I don't remember the names of it. It's some Rode wireless mics, which are very cool, that I got when I was in Vegas for signing up for the coaching. So I'll put a link to those. Technically, it's not going to be podcast gear, but I'll put it in that because they are microphones and I don't have the rest of the video stuff yet for what I use on YouTube. I'm hoping to upgrade the camera, but I'm waiting, and I'm going to New York, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'm going to New York in the coming week to do some testing on an app that, if I have time, I may wander over to B&H. And we'll see what, I asked Liz what my budget is. She said, whatever you want to spend, which is not the right thing to say to me. But again, iCantCU.com/Amazon, whenever you need to make a purchase at Amazon.com. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I don't do Patreon or any of those other buy me a coffee, things like that, because I don't think that's right. I'm not going to stick my hand out and ask for you to give me some money just because you like my podcast. If you want to support the podcast, use the Amazon link. Again, iCantCU.com/Amazon. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, thank you so much. All right, the bigger AI story for me this week was when I had to order Taltz. Taltz is an injectable that I take for psoriatic arthritis, and every 4 weeks I get a text message from Optum Rx, which is the specialty pharmacy that I get the medicine from, because it's ungodly expensive. I can't just run over to CVS and pick it up. And I clicked the link in the text message, took me to, I think it was called Optum Rx Express. Express being the misnomer here, at least for me, and I'll tell you why. When you go to the page, you're asked to enter 3 things: last name, zip code, and date of birth. Easy enough. I entered it. No problem. It then takes you to another page where it asks you a series of questions, and they're yes and no questions. Do you have any side effects? This or that and the other, blah, blah, blah. Do you need to speak to a pharmacist? That's the last one. And I always click no because I haven't had any issues that they need to know about. I click next. I then get to the page where it's time to actually place the order. And it asks me to verify my address where I want it shipped to. And I hear it say button. And I partially hear 1425, but it doesn't finish. And so I'm like, that sounds like it's right. So let me double tap that. I said, let me double tap that. Let me double tap that. Nope, didn't work. At least I didn't know that yet. I go down a little bit further and I hear button, 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 button. Maybe there were only 4, maybe there were 5, I don't know. But there were 4 or 5 buttons that were listed under what date would you like it to arrive. Doesn't read them to me what they are. I was doing this on the Wednesday or a Thursday. I'm like, okay, they're not going to deliver it on the weekend. Let me go down 3 buttons and double tap. Go down 3 doubles, double tap, nothing. I go to check out, it won't let me. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to get this order done? I could call, but you know, when you call, you got to go through a whole lot of other things. You've got to listen to all those questions. I've already known all those questions, already said, no, I don't want to do that. I thought, well, this is a good experiment, another good experiment. What I do when something is inaccessible, I take a screenshot and I click share on my iPhone, scroll down, I search for Describe with Be My Eyes. Within Be My Eyes, they have an AI component. And the description that they give with that is outstanding. And I'll talk more about the AI in that and in seeing AI in a minute. I click Describe with Be My Eyes, but then it goes to the Be My AI. So it says, wait, you got to wait. Comes up with a description, and it tells me everything about the page. Sometimes when I do it, it will tell me the answer that I need to know. Other times when I do it, like in this instance, it didn't tell me what buttons were checked. And again, I had scrolled back up to the top when I did the screenshot because I first wanted to check the date, the shipping address. So when it didn't say if it was checked or not, I asked, are any boxes checked? No boxes are checked. So I discarded that photo. I went back into Safari to the page, and I got to where the address was listed. And again, it never said the full address. I kind of think it was starred out. I think it said 1425, and then I think there were asterisks there. What's the plural of asterisks? Think about that. I don't know the answer. So I knew that button that was there when I heard 1425, I turned off VoiceOver, keeping my thumb around on the edge of the phone. And if you're watching on YouTube like this, to where I needed to tap coming across a little bit, and I basically would hold the phone at the edge with my thumb at the edge right near where the button would be. But again, not touching the screen because I don't want to touch the screen and have it click on something else. And I touched the button, and I noticed something changed. Something lit up. I don't know what it was. I turned VoiceOver back on. I scrolled a little bit so I could get the next group of questions, but still leaving that other question there. So when I took the picture in, again, I took a screenshot, took it into Be My Eyes, and it gave me another description. It said there's an address, and then there is also some dates. And I said, are any of the boxes checked? Yes, the one in address is checked 1425. I said, great. What are the dates listed in the buttons below? And then it listed the dates. And I don't remember if Saturday was an option, but it listed the dates, and I knew I wanted it on Tuesday. So I knew that Tuesday was 4 down from the top. And so again, I put my thumb on the part of the phone that's actually on my case, right next to where I need to hit after I had disposed of that image, and went back into Safari on my phone, turned VoiceOver off, hit the button, and then turned VoiceOver back on. To confirm that I checked the right box, I then took another screenshot and went back into Be My Eyes and back into Be My AI. It gave me the description. I then asked what buttons were checked. It told me the address and the Tuesday date. Perfect. I scrolled down. I discarded that, scrolled down on the web page there on my phone, hit the button that I don't remember what it was called, submit or review or something like that. Gave me all the review stuff. I then checked out. It then asked me to take a survey. And I thought, this is great. I would love to take a survey. I clicked yes or next or whatever it said, and I took a survey. How easy was it to use whatever it was, Express? 1 to 10. I gave it a 5. It wasn't hard to use, but it didn't really work with VoiceOver. Wasn't terrible. It did ask me the questions. It just wouldn't let me hit some of the answers, which of course is an issue. Then it asked me another question, and then it said, what's one thing that we could do to make it better? And I said, make it accessible. I explained how I went through and how I had to go through. And I said, this is not expressed to a blind or visually impaired person. It just took too long. What would take a sighted individual probably 2 or 3 minutes to complete this took me 10 to 15 minutes, because I had to wait while Be My Eyes wrote the description and then answered my questions when I had to ask them. I had to every time, take the screenshot and go in there. But here is a way, and I asked Ziggy, and of course Ziggy doesn't read, and if he could read, I don't know how I would understand him if he told me what to do. And I think that would floor us both, to be honest. So I thought, man, if I only could have had a screen recording of that. And I guess it's better that I didn't, because I don't remember if it had any other kind of medical stuff up there of me, or just, my name, my date of birth, and my zip code is probably enough for somebody to steal my identity. But it was just, I felt great about it, even though I was frustrated that I had to do it that way, because I think about some of my friends who live by themselves. And they tell me, well, maybe I'll get IRA, which is where you can call a live agent to help you. Or maybe I'll wait until so-and-so comes over to help me. I didn't have to do that. And I did the screenshots, and it made it so much easier for me. I thought, oh, maybe I'll just wait until Liz comes home. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to rely on her or anyone else if I can figure out a workaround. It's not a great workaround. And as me and a lot of my blind and visually impaired friends say, it always takes us longer to do anything anyway. But this is one of the reasons why, because we have to do it differently, because somebody didn't build something right. It's not built right. So it was great that I felt great that I could do it. And it made me happy that I was able to do it, and that I didn't have to use someone else and waste somebody else's time, like Jane or Liz or my neighbor. I would never ask my neighbor for that, because we're not on that kind of basis. I don't think. Maybe we are. But that was very cool that I was able to do that. Not great that things weren't coded right and wasn't accessible, but it was great that that option was there for me. And one thing is always very cool. After our Keystone meeting, we always go out to lunch, and Be My Eyes is always my go-to if I need to know, for example, what's on a menu or what's in an image. That's the one I use. If I need something quick, like if I'm walking around 30th Street Station in Philadelphia, or an airport, or Moynihan Train Hall in New York, I just take my phone out and I use Seeing AI, and I just kind of wave it around. And one day I'm sure that's going to bite me in the butt, but I wave it around and I listen to hear what the signs say. Sometimes it's not quite as waving around like this. Sometimes I keep it closer to my ear because it's busy and it's just harder to hear, because I usually don't keep my earbuds in. But after the Keystone meeting, we went to lunch, and I took an image of the menu, and it read me the menu, and I knew what to order. The menu looked different. That's the only reason. We went to New Deck Tavern, which is a place that we usually go to, so we kind of already know what they have. But again, the menu looked different to me, and I wanted to make sure it had the things that I wanted to order. Seeing AI, I love to use, like I mentioned, when I'm out and about, because they have a short text description. In fact, when I get the mail, I just say to Siri, "Hey Siri, what does this say?" And it will open up. It will then go right into short text on Seeing AI. And as you can hear, whenever it sees something, it starts, it's reading my notes. That's kind of pretty neat. And that's what it does. It reads whatever little blurbs of text that it sees. It read the Evian box down below. It will read signs as long as they're not in a crazy type of font. And it does do, I got a check today from someone who was making a payment to Keystone, and I wanted to make sure the dollar amount was right. So I took it out. You have to take an image. When it comes to taking an image and it's something I want to read, most times I will use Be My Eyes. Sometimes if I'm already in Seeing AI and the mail comes and I say, oh, I wonder what this is about, I'll open it up and I'll hold it at arm's length, and then I'll take an image of that, and then Seeing AI will read it to me. I just don't like it as much, Seeing AI that is, I just don't like it as much to do descriptions. The description that Be My Eyes does is outstanding. Both apps are free, so even if you're sighted, and it's a great tool to use just to check it out if you want to take a look. So again, Be My Eyes or Seeing AI. Seeing AI was developed by Microsoft. Again, you could get them both in the Apple App Store. Ironically enough, we just dropped episode 102 of White Canes Connect. And I say ironically enough because the title of that episode is Digital Accessibility for All. We had on Bob Moran from Accessibility Shield, and we had Dennis Zahner from Sites for Hope, one of their clients. And they talked about accessibility of websites and accessibility of apps. And it's something that Accessibility Shield does. Lisa and Simon do the show. I was a little disappointed because I couldn't be at the first recording. So instead of when we had to reschedule for whatever reason it was, I said, you know what, it's okay to, Lisa, go ahead and you and Simon still do it. Because it's something that I've done for the last 20 years, building websites and whatnot and having digital graphics design, it's really something that I wish I was a part of. And I did come in at the end, and I had a couple of questions for Bob, who again is from Accessibility Shield, more related to the way his setup was for the interview, because they both had their cameras on. And it was just interesting, and I wasn't sure what I was seeing. That's why I came in with some questions. But unfortunately, I came in where I didn't leave the recording run for hours like I did when Simon had done a recording a couple of weeks or months ago, whatever that was. So that's episode 102, White Canes Connect. Get it at Spotify, Apple Podcast, on YouTube at PA Blind Podcast. There you're only going to see the static image and you can hear the audio. On Monday night, just a few nights ago, Lisa and I spoke to Ed Plumacher, who you would recognize from That Real Blind Tech Show, and we talked to him about the U.S. Blind Baseball Association. Coming up in Orlando, like I mentioned, is the national convention. Ed is going to be down there with some folks for the USBBA, and there's going to be how many did he say? Five, I think 3 during the day and 2 at night, where you can just go and play. And I guess if you want to be evaluated to play on the team, I guess they'll do that. But I can't wait to do that. And I can't wait to tell you what I hurt when I tried. I could just feel my arm stiffening up. Who knows if I'll get hit by the ball, but it sounds like a lot of fun. So Ed told me to make sure I packed my sneakers so that I could run around and do all that. So that's coming up in Orlando. It'll be after Liz leaves, so there'll be nobody there if I do get hurt. It's all on me. She's not going to be there to help me out because she's only staying until the 5th because Jane's got to go back to work in New York after the 4th of July weekend. She's going to watch Ziggy while we're gone, and she's going to go back after Liz gets back from Orlando. So it should be fun. Liz and I are going to go to go to Disney World. So Dan, hopefully you're available when we go. We're thinking about going on the 2nd, maybe the 3rd. We're not sure. Have to wait until the agenda comes out, so I don't know where I'm going to have to be. I know I'm already in charge of the exhibit hall table for the NFB of Pennsylvania. I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But again, Ed Plumacher, it'll be a couple of weeks before that episode is out. But it was a lot of fun talking to him. And again, one of those things where we talked before the show. Ed and I got on fairly early, and Lisa came in, and so Ed and I talked for a while. Then after we were done recording, Ed and I talked some more, and Lisa was kind of getting ready. She wanted us to finish so she could go to bed. But that's coming up. That'll probably be episode 104, maybe 105. I'm not 100% sure. We've got 3 in the can, which is great, so that now I can just go in and edit them. Next week, I'm going to tell you about my trip to Harrisburg. I'm going to the Lions Club convention tomorrow and manning the table there for the NFB of Pennsylvania, along with President Lynn Heights and a couple other folks who are coming. Looking forward to that. But I'll talk about that in the next episode and all sorts of craziness that I'm sure will go on. For now, show notes for this episode, if you're not watching on YouTube, show notes are available over at iCantCU.com/264. That sounds like a lot of episodes, and it is. Again, that's iCantCU.com/264, numerically speaking. iCantCU.com/264. And remember, iCantCU sounds like a whole sentence. It's only 7 characters long. iCantCU.com/264. Catch up with me on all the socials at David Benj, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, or X if you call Twitter X, whatever you call it, I'm over there. It's my it's my most prolific thing, and nobody cares about it anymore. I am technically on Mastodon. I don't remember my logins. I didn't understand how to use it, so I wasn't that interested in growing it. It's similar to, for me, Threads. I do still post stuff there, but it's basically just episodes of this and White Canes Connect. So again, at David Benj on all the socials, and even on YouTube, youtube.com/DavidBenj, where you can listen to this episode if you're wanting to watch it, youtube.com/the@ and iCantCU. If you've got questions, comments, show ideas, whatever you've got, reach out to me via email, iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com. That's iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com. Or better yet, give me a buzz. Let me know what kind of tips or tricks you use with My Eye, Seeing AI, any of the other apps that are out there. Oko, Ed and I talked about Oko a little bit the other night. Whatever you've got, give me a call. The number is 646-926-6350. Again, 646-926-6350. You've got up to 3 minutes. Please leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail. And barring anything crazy that you may say, I will use it in an upcoming episode. And I really do appreciate it. I'd love to hear from you. Again, 646-926-6350. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of iCantCU or watching. Please like, subscribe, whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're consuming it. I'd really appreciate that as well. And tell your friends if you think you like it, or you think they would like it, or you think I'm funny looking, whatever. Let your friends know, and I would really appreciate that. Thanks again for watching and listening. Be well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the I Can't See You podcast with David. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. And don't forget to share the podcast with your friends.